Tired of running? Let's make running less tiring. My name is Scott Miller, and this is Trail Ambitions, where I talk about things that may be interesting to trail runners. In this episode, I'm going to share my thoughts on running efficiency. At the end of this video, I will also share with you a book that I read early on in my running career. And I credit that book as the foundation for much of my running technique. Let's get started. First, let's start with a little context. I've been running in Colorado, the Rocky Mountains, for 20 years. And for most of that time, I've been leading a successful running group. Group members have included those new to the sport, as well as those that run several 100-mile races per year. On these runs, our effort is determined based on the following factors: time on the feet, mileage, elevation gain, and terrain. What I found is that running efficiency is one of those fundamental things that is beneficial to the new runner as well as very seasoned runners. And it is something that we never stop working on. Longer time on the feet, an increase in mileage, a change in elevation, and variant terrain can all impact our efficiency. The more I've worked on my efficiency, the more enjoyable running has become. So the more efficient you become, the less energy is needed to achieve your goals. If your goal is to run faster, run further, or just run easier, efficiency is where I recommend starting first. And in general, the more efficient we become, the longer we can do what we love. Running is hard on the body. There's a lot of pounding involved. And I know for me, I want to do this for as long as possible. So with that said, let's jump into and start talking about my approach to running efficiency. There is a lot here. So in this video, I'll be focusing on things at a high level, and we can drill into more detail in the future. I'll first focus on inside the body and then from top down. First, relax your body. Holding tension is tiring. Next is breathing. You want to breathe by relaxing your diaphragm, not expanding your chest. To expand your lungs and get more air, you have to push out on your chest cavity, which obviously is bones. So as you get tired, if you're breathing into your chest, you won't be able to expand your lungs enough to get in the area that you're requiring. So what you'll end up doing is breathing more rapidly. And what that will do is cause you to expel more of the oxygen that your body is looking to take in. When you're not getting the oxygen into your body, your muscles will get tired quicker. You expand your belly to take in that air. I call it the Buddha belly. Whenever I've seen a Buddha picture of the Buddha, he's got a big old fat belly. So that's the image that I have in my head. So you think, let the belly expand out, take in that full breath of air. I can then slow my breathing down, taking bigger breaths slower rather than short breaths quicker. That keeps more oxygen into my body, more oxygen into my bloodstream, giving my muscles the oxygen that they're looking for, which will improve your endurance. Next, we'll start from the top and work our way down. Your body should be upright and tall, and as if someone is pulling from your back collar. So from the side, you don't want to be crouched over or bent over like this. You want to be tall with your head up, straight back, as if someone is pulling from back here. So kind of pulling like a rag doll and is dragging you forward. Then you want to lean slightly forward from the ankles. Not the hips, not the waist, but basically leaning forward from the ankles. And so essentially running is like a controlled fall forward. So as you're leaning here, you just lean forward from the ankles. And then as you catch yourself, it's that lean and you just catch. So it's a continual fall from the ankles. As you are leaning forward from your ankles, the lean and the angle of the lean is essentially your acceleration pedal. So think of it like a vehicle where as you press more on the accelerator, you go faster. As you pull off the accelerator, you slow down. Now your upper body should be tight and compact. I keep my arms in relatively close. I actually refer to it as chicken wings. So it's one of these as opposed to this, or moving or flailing essentially. Because as you're running on trails, you're going to be pushed in a lot of directions. You step on a stone that rolls away, you trip on something, and so you want to be able to have your center of gravity in close. So if I'm going down, I need more stability. I might put my elbows out, but everything is in here as opposed to a lot of flailing. From your elbows perspective, you want to focus on pulling your elbows back rather than swinging your arm forward. Your forward stride is going to go as far out as your wrist is. So if you're really swinging your arms hard, you're probably overstriding. So keeping everything compact, we want to have this type of movement in here, so that everything is right underneath us. Nothing is extending too far out, so that if we get pushed off balance, we can easily recover because we're not too far our weight's not over distributed in any particular area. As we're pulling our elbows back, we want to pull them back at a cadence of 90 beats per minute. As you pull your elbows back at whatever cadence you are pulling your elbows back, your feet will naturally follow them. So you can think of a 90 beats per minute cadence and keeping the timing with your elbows. So don't worry about the legs, they will just follow whatever your elbows do. You can count it as 1, 2, 3. So left 2, 3, right 2, 3, left 2, 3, right 2, 3. And just keep that going in your head. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's about 90 beats per minute, or 180 if you count 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you want to maintain that cadence at all times, whether you're going downhill, uphill, or flat. You do that with your stride length. So your stride length is your gears. So if you're familiar with riding a bike or a multi-speed bike, you have high gears and low gears. You go to a low gear, you're pedaling very quickly, but you have a lot of torque. You can go uphill easily. If you go into a higher gear, then your speed will be higher. But your speed at which you pedal remains the same. Similarly, with running, your cadence remains the same. It's always 90 beats per minute. Left 2, 3, right 2, 3, left 2, 3, right 2, 3. And as you extend your stride, you'll cover more ground, increasing your speed. But with a longer stride, it will be more strenuous. If you shorten your stride, it will then give you more power, less speed. So as you are going uphill, you shorten your stride, or if you're getting tired, shorten your stride. It'll give you more power at less effort. And then as you flatten out or start going down, you can then extend your stride length to give you more speed at the same cadence. Now, the key here is that you extend your stride behind you, not in front of you. So if you're running a 100-yard dash, maybe when you're a kid, you're really pushing your stride way out there. And that was wrong, because what you're doing is you're overstriding and you're putting a lot of pressure on your joints when you hit. We want to stay midfoot, and so kind of we're doing that forward lean. We're landing on our midfoot and then moving forward. By landing midfoot, we need to have our landing be underneath us, not out in front of us that we have to go over. We're basically landing underneath us. So to do that and to lean forward from our ankles, in order to extend that stride, we want to extend it behind us. So long strides behind us, always landing underneath us. The other advantage of that when trail running is by extending further back, we keep our heels off the ground. So our heels are back, coming up and around. And so we're not swinging our legs where the marathon shuffle, as they call it. That's you'll end up on your face if you're doing the marathon shuffle on the trail. So we want to always keep our heels up. So extending behind us allows us to keep our heels up, swing through, out, compact, tight underneath us, swinging here. Okay, I talked about landing midfoot. So what that means is rather than landing flat or on your heel and rolling through, you're landing in this part of the shoe right here. So you land midfoot, and then as you come down like this, the heel starts to come down, maybe just tapping the ground or very close, and then pushing up. So you're not heel striking and rolling through. You're midfoot, allowing your leg to settle down, so absorbing it with your calf muscle and your quad, coming in and then pushing it. So again, if you find yourself doing a lot of heel striking, let's say the back part of your shoe is getting worn out, chances are you're either swinging your feet through and dragging them, or you're heel striking and dragging the bottom of your shoes and then through. So you can look at how the wear is on a shoe. If you're right here is where the majority of the wear should be, because that's where you're landing, and you're rarely touching the back, or just basically slightly touching the back of the shoe. Now, if you do a lot of, steep descents, I mean, you could wear more of the back of the shoe, but in general, the middle part is where it should wear, because you're midfoot strike, settling in, and then springing in. One way that I determine whether I'm doing this correctly or not is to listen to my own feet. If I hear my foot hitting the ground, or I hear it sliding on the ground or making a lot of noise, I know I'm not running as efficiently as I could. I believe running efficiently is running quietly. When I'm running with other people, I listen for their footsteps over mine. And I'm a relatively big guy, so physics-wise, I should be making more a louder sound because there's more impact in the feet. So my goal is to run quieter than other people, and that quiet is not only making sure I land correctly, but also by running lighter on my feet, making less sound, it's also less impact to my joints. So in my mind, that will give me longevity, because if there's less impact on my joints, there's less chance of injury, wear, and so forth. So there you have it. Those are the techniques that I focus on from an efficiency perspective every time I run. I've been doing it for 20 years, or whenever I learned each of these from that point forward, they've been part of my thinking as I'm out there running. Okay, now for the book recommendation. Early on in my running career, I read this book by Danny Dreyer called Chi Running, a revolutionary approach to effortless, injury-free running. And as I mentioned earlier, this book has become the foundation of how I think about running efficiency and running technique. I highly recommend it for anybody looking to improve their running technique. It's a great book, and highly recommend. Okay, so on your next run, think through these techniques and start to put them into practice. Now, obviously, there's a lot of them, and trying to think of them all at one time is going to be difficult. So think of whatever one jumped out at you the most, think about that one, and then second and third and so forth. What I find works best for me is do them or practice them, think about them whenever they pop into your mind. When I'm out trail running, my mind is very short. I think about things for a little bit and it's gone, So whenever you think of it, do it, and then something will distract you. There'll be a stick or a tree or something, and you'll be thinking about that. But then as you're running, you're like, oh yeah, my technique, and you'll get it back in your mind, think about it again, or maybe add a second or a third and kind of cycle through it. Don't get frustrated because you can't think of it or stay with it. That's not a problem. Just whenever you think about it, and I recommend starting with breathing first. That's probably going to be your biggest one once you get your breathing down. For me, when I learned about the breathing technique of breathing into my belly rather than my chest, I was naturally the opposite of that. So I was breathing into my chest rather than my belly. So to reverse that, it was a thought process. It took me about a month of consciously thinking about it for it to become natural and start working. So go out there, Think about a technique, try it for as long as it's in your head, and then another one will pop in, and then just cycle through. And continue to do that over time, and eventually each of these will become more natural, and especially as you start seeing results, becoming more efficient. What are some of the techniques that you use to run efficiently? I'd love to hear your thoughts on either something that I said or your own version or your own techniques. Please add those to the comments. If you like this type of content, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, help me build this community. Okay, that's it for now. I wish you hours of tireless running.